Now, starting the test drive in this R1T launch edition, I did say that front trunk was probably power activated to close. It is. I just tested that out. But I mean, the first impression of this thing is it reminds me of what I would have expected the Tesla Cybertruck to be. Just a smaller version of, this is almost like the Model 3 of trucks, I think. It feels bigger than a Tesla in terms of just driving it like a Model 3 or a Model Y. But the overall dynamics and just how everything operates is very similar to that in pretty much every good way. I like the steering feel, of course, the silence with it being an EV. I like how peppy it is. I have it in the sport mode. One of my favorite things about it though is the one pedal, so I can adjust the brake regen to be on high or standard, and the high gives you such a bite. It almost is like how you drive a normal car. A lot of people, when they get to a red light, they don't let the car slow down. They kind of just hit the brakes hard, and that's kind of how this feels. So when I let off, I don't feel like I have to kind of throttle the brake pedal, if you will. So it's actually pretty impressive in my opinion. And then just in this construction traffic here, ride quality is pretty good. I feel like I'm in, like I said, a Tesla, like small truck. So I think of the Ford Rangers, I think of the Chevy Colorados, Nissan Frontiers. That's the kind of feel that this has. And I think that's kind of what they were going for there. But so far, just very impressed overall with the ease of driving here. I wouldn't mind driving this for a daily truck. Now, I am going to try and give it a little pull getting on the interstate here. I might have to wait till I actually get on there. Actually, I have a little bit of room, so this will be fun. Gonna come around this corner here, and then we're gonna nail it. And here we go. So very impressive pull there. Let's test out this adaptive cruise. So here we have the lane centering, adaptive cruise control doing its thing here. And surprisingly, the ride is very, it feels like an EV, but it also doesn't feel as choppy as you would expect, especially if this would be a pickup truck. It rides pretty well down the road. It's not gonna ride as smoothly as a Chevy Silverado or Ford F-150 that's gas powered, but it is pretty impressive. But one thing I have noticed is I'm not hearing any weird sounds or creaking or anything. Now, it does only have 32,000 miles, but with an EV, usually you can hear pretty much everything if something's wrong, which is a good and bad thing depending on how you look at it. But not hearing any sort of creaks or anything whatsoever. It's just pretty solid, pretty silent, even though this is, again, a pickup truck, which is meant to be more rugged. Now, I do think this is a pretty, honestly, even for when they were brand new, pricing isn't bad. I think this one's right at around $65,000 right now, which definitely isn't a bad deal at all, even if just for the performance alone, because these are quick. They get pretty good range, and they're just very efficient. I mean, you have the gear tunnel, which will help with your efficiency. I just closed the tonneau cover, and it shows me the actual animation here, which is nice. But a lot of things are just put in place to help maximize your efficiency, whether it's the tonneau cover, having the gear tunnel in the middle, so maybe you wouldn't have to have a roof rack for what you have in there. It's just an extremely practical pickup truck. Probably one of the most, I'd say the most practical pickup out right now, excuse me. Just because the F-150 Lightning is nice, but still a bit pricey, and still it's a full-size truck, but you're not really getting the same efficiency numbers as you get here. It's certainly not as quick. And then on top of that, just having something that's easier to drive. A lot of people want a Ford Maverick or something like that, but maybe an electric truck as opposed to a hybrid or a gas powered one. So this is a good option there. But I do think it's a good all around truck as well. It drives very nicely. I wouldn't mind driving one of these. Again, as a daily, it feels right. It doesn't feel like it's too much. I don't feel like I'm driving a big heavy duty truck. I also don't feel like I'm driving a car either. It's just the perfect fit here. And it's just something that if you want something that drives like your typical EV, especially with a more minimalist interior like the Teslas, but you just want to be able to use your truck bed, you want to be able to take it outdoors, you want to have that four-wheel drive capability, this is just great at, again, being one of the most, if not the most practical EVs out here. But with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2022 Rivian R1T Launch Edition.